Alright, hello and welcome. Welcome back to the CT5. Doing a quick little detour as we talk about the current set of maps for the ranked rotation. This topic was requested by someone who messaged me on the forums, asking what I thought about them. And so that's part of why I'm doing this. And actually, I'm more doing this because I was actually kind of annoyed by that question. It felt to me like a pretty low effort question, because just asking what do I think about this, right, is it more warrior friendly or wizard friendly or whatever, just from that alone, I don't get any sense that you were thinking about it. And so that kind of low effort question, it's just really unhelpful for everyone, right? You're doing disservice to yourself by not trying to think. Hopefully you're thinking about it. That's the hope. I want you all to actually think about this first, both in terms of you get the practice to better analytically think about stuff, as well as then you can ask better questions, and then we can actually have a more interesting discussion and conversation about stuff. So this video, yeah, I'm going to talk a bit about the maps, but also hopefully give you a bit of a framework for how to better think about this kind of thing if you're not doing it already, and I really hope you are. Anyways, let's talk about the maps real quick. Now, actually, it turns out these set of maps are pretty tricky, and that's good. That means it was well made. It shouldn't be obvious what to do all the time, etc., etc. As always, things will depend. So if we look at this first map, Citadel Light Hall, it looks like, if you look at this huge, wide open corridor with so little terrain in the way of the victory squares, you initially think, oh my goodness, this is perfect for wizards. But if we look at, there's actually quite a bit of blocking terrain. And so if warriors can slip around there, right? Imagine we've got some fun people sneaking around here and stuff like that. It might make things kind of awkward if there's a dumb little dwarf wizard. Oh no, what can I do? Also, yeah, dwarves, they can't go anywhere. Their first turn is terrible on this map, which is great. Okay, this is a good spot, but only one person can get there. Anyways. So it's okay, warriors aren't completely screwed. But think about this some more, okay, there's actually several other things that non-dwarf wizards can take better advantage of. One, notice we have to move around this little wall of blocking and non-blocking terrain, impassable terrain. So difficult terrain stuff from wizards are really, really nice. If you plop them here or here or here, in those little spots, you can really inconvenience where people end up moving. Illusory barrier feels like it'd be pretty good on this map. Against wizard, you can just shut them down, plop in a line. Depending on stuff, you can if you plop things there somehow or there, there's stuff you can do. Initially, it feels like it's nice for wizards, but again, warriors, there's plenty of things they can do to sneak up on you, and then suddenly when they're in your face, oh shit, what do you do? It's hard to say. So yeah, in terms of whether map's better for a warrior or wizard, it's probably better to think of when are typically warriors in an advantageous situation, and when are wizards typically in an advantageous situation, and then maps sort of facilitate how easy it is for that respective unit to get into that advantageous position. That was me just trying to sound smart. But is that all I have to say about this? That's all I have to say about this map. Warriors against warriors, okay, we know what that means. There's just going to be a lot of fighting around here. Yeah, going to be a lot of fighting around here. Wizards, they're probably going to want to be around here-ish, kind of in the middle, so they've got ways to go, while also maintaining line of sight the victory squares and being in range to do stuff there. Priests are similarly, depending on, priests, a well-positioned priest, they're going to move into one spot the first round and then stay there for the next 2-3 rounds before finally moving up to you to whack or do stuff, whatever. But so typically early on, priests are going to stand in a probably similar area, throw out some buffs, get along the sides if need be, or run to the victory squares to whack people. So yeah, Warriors versus Wizards, that's always going to be like the sort of interesting tension-based matchup of like, what do? Oh no, Wizards so strong because I can't hit them when I'm a Warrior early on. Yeah. Yeah, it can get wacky. It can get wacky. It really, for a Warrior versus Wizard, it really is depends on like how quickly and easily and safely can the Warriors sneak around here. Again, the spots along the side really nice for cover, but it potentially puts them in a weird spot if the Wizards can, if they plop difficult terrain, as I said before. But again, there's also some spots where they can get line of sight too. So like here and here, it's really, really good. It's really hard for the Wizards to see. But if they can see you, then they're on the victory square, so that's awkward, but then they're really close to you. Anyways, y'all know how that usually works out. Moving on, because this map is not the most interesting one. Let's go with this one. Okay. People usually start back here. Right? Cool. Okay, so this map's actually pretty neat. Oh yeah, so I guess one thing you might have picked up from in the last example, another thing you can try to think about on your own is where would people typically want to be? Where do people typically end up going? And again, hopefully, like, a lot of what I'm saying is just like my opinion. I have a relatively limited amount of experience with these maps because it came out later in the game when I was playing less often. So count on your own experiences. Your experience in your own game are going to be more valuable. Games you play, games you watch. And I picked up these maps from the Card Hunter wiki. So that's another way to just look at things, to do this kind of thing. To look at the maps, do some analysis on your own. All right, back to thoughts. So Wizards on this. So what's interesting, right, is right off the bat, both teams have this line of difficult terrain that kind of makes it so it's like you're not really going anywhere that much on your first turn. Of course, people are going to try and skip that. Wizards of Telekinesis, Nimble Strike, all that good stuff. Wizards most likely are going to end up around here or here. That way they have a lot of line of sight to both people. If people chase after them, they still have some room to maneuver. Again, it's actually kind of small. It does feel kind of small and cramped, actually, in terms of where a Wizard can comfortably be. Like they kind of want to be around here, because if they're here, then a Warrior's here, they can Nimble Strike into it. So like here's probably where they want to be, but then it's just like this is 4 spaces away, this is 5 spaces away, so you can't telekinesis anyone there. And if you're back here, then you have like really, really little room to move, but then, oh hey, the difficult terrain's still there. And if you move that way, you're moving into like the enemy side, and there's difficult terrain there. Oh, life's awkward. It's surprisingly cramped, but Wizards do command a lot of influence from taking those sort of wider spots there. Now, what's also neat is that this little batch in the middle is actually pretty cleverly placed, notably the difficult terrain. Because Warriors, if they want to approach the enemy and want to play it safe, like if they're trying to stay out of line of sight of a Wizard, they're going to be around in this area, right? But then when they move, oh, what the hell is this doing here? No, I'm stuck. No. So that's a nice little touch. And obviously, if a Warrior does end up moves directly onto one of these spots instead of first chilling here, that's a sign they plan to be a bit more aggressive. So, you can keep that in mind as well when you play their games. Oh, they're ready. They're probably going to do something. In general, Warriors just go where the fucking enemies are. Bam, 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 bam. And then Priests are the ones who just love to sit on the victory squares and be annoying. And it's a really great spot for a Priest to be. They're sort of relatively safe. They can see their allies. Like if there's a Wizard there, they can see him. If there are Warriors there, they can see him. If Warrior goes in, the Priests don't care that much about Warriors. Like, whatever, they can take care of themselves. They're going to sit there as much as they want to, for the most part. Okay. I don't I have too much more to say on this one. Like, sidelines are kind of interesting. Like, a wizard, their first move, if they can't get, like, out there, well, they're going to start hinting that they're going to go there and probably hop around and stay, like, here. Right, something like that. And the corresponding spot over on this side, right around, like, there. Because that lets them see the 2 victory squares close to the enemy, as well as their own, but getting line of sight to the victory squares that your opponent's that's easiest for your opponents to take, pretty nice, pretty annoying, right, might discourage them getting onto, it might keep your opponent off the victory squares, and then if you want, you can potentially take a victory square, if you think that's good for your overall positioning of the team, depending on what they do, right, everything depends. But those are just some things I've noticed. And yeah, with the presence of this, it's like surprisingly cramped, and movement can get weird-ish. Like once your opponent's on you, it's pretty hard to get away. You won't easily be able to run away from just moving. You'll have to likely move them somehow, or do some shenanigans, like a violent spin, perhaps. Violent spin coming to a theater near you. Okay, I think that's actually what I've got for this map. Next one. Cool. This is probably the signature. What the fuck? Right, this is the wacky one where one of your units is sandwiched between two enemy, or one of your units is sandwiched between 2 enemy units, but one of their units is sandwiched between 2 of yours. So, what do you do? What do you do? Pass? Kinda legit, hear me out. So I think I feel like, it's been a while since I played on these maps, but I feel like what's important on these maps is trying to keep your people together as much as you can. So, so your 2 people, they're going to want to do their best to pressure the one in the middle. Your person in the middle is going to want to try and do their best to link up and sort of get around to where one of your people are. And then the enemy person in the middle, they're going to, like, and the enemy teams are going to do the same thing, right? They're going to want to pressure the one in the middle and or whoever their teammate in the middle is going after as well. So, right, let's say, oh boy. This map's hard. How do you come up with an example for this? Okay. Alright. Let's say we start moving our people around. Okay, let's say we move something like this. And then maybe, we're dumb dwarf. We're trying our best. Dwarf wizards really don't feel good on these set of maps. I'm gonna say that much. That's okay. That's okay. And then now this one's like, oh, okay, moved out to play, kind of awkward. So actually, I might pass here. Actually, if I were this team, I might pass here. See what they do, because where this person moves, where the person in the middle moves is going to. It's going to help inform you how you should move in response as well, right? Right, if we, like, if they move, say, here now, oh, well, shit, you're trying to play with my elf. Okay, let's do something about that with this guy. And then we can probably want to move here? Probably. There's an argument for moving here. There's an argument for moving here because now we're further away from the human priest. And, like, we're not really in danger of the wizard. The wizard moves again at some point, which they probably will. Like, okay, they're a wizard. It wouldn't have helped too much if if our human wizard was on the other side. All right. In general, I would say that having your person in the middle, move straight up in the middle is probably the worst spot you can go. I think you typically want to go to one of the corner ones. Yeah, it feels a bit more committal, which sort of goes against what I said about, being flexible. But let's take a look at this scenario. Let's go back down here. It'll be a bit easier. Okay. I think what I'm trying to say is if your person in the middle does move on to the middle and then someone lands next to them, they're trapped and not in a fun way. Like even here is really bad. Cause like if it was like this, the pumpkin could move towards the victory square kind of like this. They have that option as well. So by having the human warrior move directly up them like that, they're putting the most direct pressure onto the dwarf warrior because it's telling the dwarf, you can't run this way now, right? Because the zone of control will stop in there. You can't run this way. You have to run out this way. You have to play with us. This is by far the most effective if there was a wizard or priest there. And if the human warrior had gone here instead, okay, you're giving this character the option to run back in, which would be a huge win, right? If they're gonna waste a move to run back in, and let's see where it gets them. Oh, look how far away they are from all the action which happens right around here. So what I said earlier about trying to keep your team together, part of that includes avoiding having your team being split like this, or similarly, having one of your people along the side be getting bullied back into the corner. Right? Say the human priest peek their head out like this, and then we had our wizard be like, "Hey, I see you now," and a priest's like, whatever, I don't believe you. And then our warrior runs up and does some nasty stuff there, impaling stab or whatever. And if the priest runs back into the corner, much like Pumpkin Dwarf down here, they are so far away from all the action. That's something you want to avoid. It's definitely a tension you will feel in the game, right? Like, because again, one of your characters start in that corner, and it's very possible that one of the enemy units gets up in their face. And you will feel that pressure. Do your best to work around that. It's okay to take some hits. I don't know. But that's a bad situation to be in. That's a bad situation to be in, is what I'm trying to say. I think the last thing to note about this set of maps is that the victory squares in the middle are actually command a lot of influence and restrict movement quite a good bit, especially these two victory squares. Because then with the zone of control, then you get this big block of difficult terrain, right? As an example, ba-doop. And now look, difficult terrain, more difficult terrain, two victory squares, difficult terrain. Kind of hard. Nimble Strike, once again, very nice on these maps and just about every map. And I say that not only because Nimble Strike can help you, better move and get around the zone control stuff, but given how relatively few other adjacent squares are available for attacking this unit, it's most likely that warriors will almost even more aggressively or reliably set up a situation where they're right in between. They're surrounding your unit, and then they can just take turns playing ping pong and whacking them from behind back and forth forever. So that's probably another thing to watch out for. Probably. Again, games will say a lot more. Okay. And the last set of maps is the engineering bay. I think that's... And this one, I'm actually going to leave to you to think about it, because we've done so much thinking already. I don't need to talk this whole time. Again, let's think about, where do people want to be? Another big thing to think about, I should have said this earlier. visualize, imagine common scenarios that you think will play out, right? That's what I've been doing a lot this whole time, right? Like, what happens when someone's on the victory source? What happens early, right? When I said where are people going to be, especially the first round, that's probably the easiest thing to predict. Where do people want to be? Hey, we got this line of victory of Ziggle terrain. That sounds familiar, right? People are either going to be here or they're going to want to sneak out with telekinesis, nimble strike, etc. No, more difficult terrain here makes it, well, I'm doing all the work for y'all. Y'all can do this. And okay, not gonna lie, this is a tricky map as well. That's part of why I'm leaving to you. I don't know. That's the real reason. But also, I think if you do think about this, I think it'll help you a lot. I think it'll help you all a lot. And being able to just better think about stuff, better imagine scenarios, that's going to be useful skill in deck building too, right? When you're evaluating what cards and what items to include in your deck, you have to think about how useful it's going to be in a variety of scenarios, and most importantly, when you're behind. It's probably something I'll repeat when I inevitably talk about deck building, because that's another thing that helps inform how you make better moves. But yeah, if you do put in the work to think about this map, I think you'll notice, oh, this is wacky. It's almost as wacky as the last one. Not in as obvious a way, given the initial positioning of characters, but a lot of the features on the map make for interesting stuff. I've had some great games on here, on this map. Oh god, it's scary. Just look how cramped and annoying it all is. Anyways. That's it for me. Thanks for bearing with me on this little detour. And next week I'll get back on schedule when I talk about whatever I said last time. Things approaching units. Stay tuned. All right, thanks. See y'all next time.